want to welcome everybody for coming. Thank you for braving the weather and the wind. Come out here. And I'm going to turn it over. I'm Brantley Webster, and I'm going to turn it over to Corky to introduce the introduction.
You're swiping right.
Cell phone mode, radio mode, record mode, voice amplifier.
Okay, we'll see if this thing helps. I can talk loud, but let me know if you can't hear. Welcome. It's a pleasure to be here today. I want you to know that, first of all, Chatham County Historical Association is an all-volunteer organization devoted to collecting, preserving, and sharing the history of Chatham County through exhibits, tours, publications, research, and educational and community outreach programs. Our volunteers operate the Chatham County Historical Museum, located in the historical Chatham County Courthouse. The museum also includes archival collections accessible to researchers and a museum gift shop. Tours and programs are available for schools and community groups. We also promote the preservation of public and private structures that are of historical significance to the county. Chatham County Historical Association is a private, non-profit, tax-exempt 501(c) organization. We receive no committed public funding and rely on the support of our members and private donations, as well as the time and talent of our volunteers for our operational support and projects. And I mention that so that if you would like to donate, we'll be glad to take whatever donations you have, preferably in the form of cash or check. We will take checks. So welcome to our presentation today. I want to talk just a little bit about the smokehouse and this property. And I will tell you that all these papers are not all that I'm going to talk about, because if you go to the website, there's a 13-page demonstration that tells you in detail with pictures about the smokehouse and about how all of this came about. Chatham County Historical Association documented the history of the property for the New County Agricultural Center and saved this unique smokehouse. The program that you see on the website was compiled by Linda Carnes McNaughton, Beverly Wiggins, and Paul Webb in May of 2015. Now, the earliest owners of the in Chatham County records is Mary Waters. She was the daughter of Continental Army General James Moore and the wife of Colonel William Waters, who also served in the Continental Army. In 1825, Mary Waters sold the 99-acre property to her son-in-law, Frederick Jones Hill. The deed indicates that the property was her former residence, and the old stage road that went from here towards Salisbury ran along about the route where 64 is now. Frederick Jones Hill was a physician, planter, legislator known for his early legislation to establish public schools in the state. He was raised in New Hanover County, and he, like several other wealthy Wilmington families of the period, had ties to Pittsboro. They essentially, because they had rice paddies there and had mosquitoes in the summer, they came to Pittsboro to get rid of the mosquitoes. I think they brought some with them. Hill, his father, and three uncles owned elaborate summer homes in and around Pittsboro. Hill and his uncle, Dr. Nathaniel Hill, were instrumental in building St. Bartholomew's Episcopal Church in 1831 in Pittsboro. The records are unclear whether Frederick Jones Hill built his summer home, Kentucky, on the parcel he purchased from his mother-in-law, Mary Waters, or whether it was built prior to his purchase of the property. Hill and his wife, Ann Ivy Waters, married in 1812 and had no children. Kentucky, as it was called, was eventually inherited in 1874 by William H. Moore, who was presiding elder in the Methodist Church in Pittsboro, and to whom both Hill and wife Ann had family connections. The property was purchased by Chatham County in 2012 after it had been handed down in the Moore family through several generations. One can see the article on the website for a chain of title and details of the smokehouse and the property. Remarkably, some features and artifacts from the property's early history survived, and the Chatham County Historical Association sought to document those. I think the reason that I was selected, a couple of reasons. One, I'm the oldest rat in the association, I think. having been here since joined in 1971 when Chatham County was celebrating its bicentennial. But in 1971, my wife Linda and I were looking to find a place to live. We loved old houses, and we did not follow my father's advice, who said if you find an old house you like, build you a new one like it. But Kentucky was one of the houses that we visited. At the time, it was owned by Mrs. Edward Steele. Her husband Edward had owned Stone Southern School Supply in Raleigh. Mrs. Steele, when we visited the property in 1971, said she had spent one night in the house 50 years before. So the last time anyone lived in the house was 1921. We had the opportunity to visit and look at the house, and when we toured the house, it was almost like a Hollywood movie set. The house was still furnished, completely furnished. There were no closets in the house. Instead, there were pegs on the walls, and there were hats and coats hanging on the pegs, just like someone left, "I'll be back tomorrow." But that was not the case. I say it looked like a Hollywood movie set because the furniture was covered in sheets. There were a few cobwebs. Now, what had happened was the property was inherited by Mrs. Steele. Her sons inherited the furnishings of the house. They persuaded Mom not to sell the property, but they had an auction later on and sold all the furnishings out of the house. And we have our dining room table is a brown walnut table that came out of the house that has 5 leaves and will seat 14 people if you can afford to feed them. It also goes down to just a round table on either end. One of the unique things about the property, and first of all, let me tell you where the house was located. As you go out the front door, you'll look to the east, to your left as you go out, there are 4 crepe myrtle trees. That's approximately where the Kentucky house sat. If you look to your right, to the west, there's another set of trees. That's where what has been mistakenly referred to as a guest house, that's where the summer house was. What was the summer house? It was the same size as Kentucky. It had tall ceilings. It looked like a 2-story house, but it was actually only had 1 floor, so 1 level. It was tall so that the heat would be there. It had a porch on the front and on the rear, and there were 3 sets of double doors down each side. The reason for that was they had dances there, and there was a chimney so they could use it in cool weather, a fireplace at one end on the west end of the house. On the right end of the house was a small closet that was like on a bay, and that's where they stored musical instruments during the time that nobody was there. The doors opened on either side so that people could dance inside and go stand on the porch and socialize and cool off. It was in bad shape whenever we looked at it then. And there is a picture on the website that shows you, the picture was taken, I think, around sometime in early 2000 by Dwayne Hall, that shows you how bad the place did look. At some point, the county purchased this property in 2012. All of that was cleared off, and what was left standing, one of the pieces that was left standing, was the smokehouse. And the Historical Association wanted to preserve that. It was raised, and you see how tall it is, so to move it to a different location, the top had to be taken off.
Radio mode.
Pardon me for that. So the top was taken off, it was moved. Its actual location is almost in line with where we are now, but it's just to the other side of the parking lot over there. Really unique in the fact that it's tall as it is, but I'm going to stop because we've got lots of other folks to talk, but I'll be around if you want to have some questions. I would like to thank all the folks who donated time and efforts and money to saving this unique property, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
So we've got